You are listening to the Smugglers Galaxy Podcast, my favorite podcast to listen to on long flights across the galaxy.
All right, so this is from Star Wars Book of Dad Jokes by Kelly Knox. I got to give her props.
You got the book.
I got the book, Star Wars Dad Jokes. So I'm just going to open it to a page. My wife said I should really practice these before, but I think some of the charm is me messing them up as I read them. So
we'll put charm in quotes too.
Right. So here we go. I heard the calf at Dex's Diner tastes like dirt. They do say it's fresh ground.
That could not. I mean, that's like you could insert Denny's instead of Dex for that one.
Yeah,
that's not very Star Wars centric. I'm disappointed already.
It kind of is. It's a really weird because they do like 4 per page.
Yeah.
4 jokes per page. And some of them are funny. Some of them aren't. I thought I had a joke about the Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive, but it doesn't work.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to read 2 more.
Go along with that. All right.
I recently found out how much it costs to build the Death Star. It was astronomical.
Oh.
And the last one.
I don't like these.
These are probably not the best. My old Jedi master is a Force ghost now.
Okay.
I realized it the second he walked through my door.
I mean, that could be okay. All right.
Those weren't the best, but I just opened the book to whatever page, and I don't even remember. So that was page 78 and 79.
You need to mark it.
Dad joke book.
Cut to the credits. Let's move on. This
yeah.
What a great way to start the show.
It was horrible, wasn't it?
This is the way.
We wanted men.
Welcome to episode 188 of the Smugglers Galaxy Podcast, your favorite Star Wars podcast for smugglers in the galaxy. I'm Glen, and Jason's staring right at me. Just can't believe I wasted 5 minutes on those dad jokes.
They're like ridiculous. It was like, what does a TIE pilot wear to a prom?
A tie?
A suit and tie. Oh, right, bro.
Some of them are that bad. I kind of looked over it. Yeah, they're maybe I wasted $15.
Hey, it's our first book review.
Yeah. Hey, we've been meaning to do one since the beginning of the year, and we haven't done it
yet.
Yeah. So we've actually saw each other a lot this weekend. So how's things going?
Good. Well, should we go in order?
Yeah, let's go in order.
Saturday morning was the annual. No, it's more than an annual. It's every other month toy swap at Powder Springs Treasure Hunt Antique Mall.
Yes,
which is great. I was only able to do a single lap, and then I had to go look at a car that we decided not to buy.
Right.
But I did see it for 3 seconds.
Right. You gave me some cash for some stuff because I had gotten the Micro Galaxy Squadron stuff, and you had purchased it. We'd done a split purchase, and you actually gave me cash. So I had cash to spend at the thing. So I was pretty excited about that.
Did you spend it?
I did.
Okay.
I did spend it.
It was a unique toy swap for me, because not only did I spend my money, I spent my wife's money because she came along too. I was like, "Do you want to come?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." So she came, and I was like, "Hey, do you have ones?" Because all I had were 10s, and so I was starting to spend her money because I was buying smalls. And
oh goodness, yeah, that's always the best. I always try to at least bring small $5 and $10 because you will find something that's $5 or $10 and they will not take pay. Some of them will take PayPal, some of them won't. I guess it depends on what kind of mood they're in. But it's always better to just be able to say, hey, here's $5. So what you pick up?
It's great to see everyone at
Yeah.
that swap. That was half the time was just hanging out with people. I did pick up. So Adam Thrawn had Orson Krennic, the TBC version.
Uh-huh.
Mine came bent, so I needed another one because I'm a mint on card collector, or as close to mint as possible. I'm not going to hold myself to be like it needs to be at 90-degree angles. You can't have a single dent or scratch on it. That's impossible, but just close enough. So I have the Krennic. He also had a U-wing that I picked up that might show up at Rogue Fun. We'll see. And then some other guy had 4 cassette tapes: Droid World, Planet of the Hoojibs, Ewoks Join the Fight, and then the Star Wars soundtrack, all on cassette for $1 each. And so
Hence where you needed your wife's money.
Yeah, so I grabbed those. I was like, yes. And then my wife, she did pick up a lunchbox. She got a Walt
she went back
Disney
and got
World
the lunchbox?
1970s. Yeah, I talked the guy down to $25 from 30, whatever. But
right. So I cut you off. So what kind of lunchbox did she get?
it's a vintage Walt Disney World. It's like a very 70s cartoony kind of stylized of the era a lunchbox, and it matches the map that she has from the first year that the park was open. It doesn't have like Space Mountain on it. Obviously doesn't have Splash Mountain or Big Thunder. But it's like a vintage map, and now she's got this vintage lunchbox that seemed to be like 2 pieces of the same collection, even though they're not.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say what I got, and then we could talk about the show because I think it was one of the better shows that he's had in a minute. So I picked up 2 not unproduced or unpainted macro collection, the diecast figures.
Yeah.
I picked those up. The guy had them for like $5 each. I was like, yes, I will take those. And luckily I had a shot of my collection and I needed them. I was missing those. I picked up, Steve had a bunch of $5 TVC figures.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up a Crawl. Is it Crawl from Mandalorian? Quill. I picked up him and the blue guy, so I can throw him with my razor.
The Mithril.
The Mithril, yeah.
Mithril is from Lord of the Rings. Sorry.
Somebody just wrecked their car, Jason. So I have Krill. Krill is sitting in the cockpit of the Razor Crest, and I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with the Mithril yet.
This is the word.
Yes. And I'm like, he probably didn't fly in the Razor Crest, but he looks good in there.
Yeah, he did.
He did?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. It works. And
he
then
flew to Navarro.
Oh, well, Dave Navarro?
I'm sure that's where the name came from, but no, not Dave Navarro.
So now so I have to the Mithril, the legs don't. I'm scared to bend them because they're at the hips. They're kind of weird. I want to kind of try to get them to sit down so I can throw them in the back of the Razor Crest, and I haven't been able to do that. I haven't spent the time to do it yet because I'm scared to break. I'm scared to break them.
Let me message a TVC expert, because I think in some situations you can take a hair dryer for like 3 seconds to just warm it up enough to just break that pop without popping it.
Okay. It's weird. Okay. Because it's weird. It feels like the hips have got a ball joint and then they twist. The legs do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It may not even be a ball joint. It's just a weird looking joint. And that's why I don't like the TVC stuff, because they've got weird joints and it confuses me.
You sound like an old man.
They've got
weird joints and they confuse me.
I totally
Get
do
off
sound
my
like an
lawn.
Right. Get off my lawn, boys. And then what else did I? So I got that. I picked up a one of the 10-inch Gambits that don't look like Gambit, because I've been kind of wanting one. And though I purchased it from this guy who had the comic 2-pack with Thrawn and whatever the card guy. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw that one.
And he was only wanting like $50 for it. And I was like, I got 40 cash. And he went, fine. And then I saw he had the Gambit and he wanted like $20 for the Gambit. And I'm like, will you do PayPal or whatever so I can pay you for the Gambit? Because, girl math. I was like, I'm ahead of the game. So I had to call Mandy and have her Zelle the guy $20 so I'd get the Gambit. But that the Thrawn 2-pack is like $100 figure.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I'm like, how much for how much for this? And he goes, $50. And I went, shoot. And he's like, what's wrong? That's not, I said, I have to buy it now. I've been looking for one and they've always been in the $100 range. And Thrawn Loose is is like $50-$60.
Yeah, he also had the Shadows of the Empire comic 2-pack as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, I didn't pay attention to that one because I was so excited to get the Thrawn, and I kind of wish I would have bought that one. But he said he might come back because it was his first show and he had just inherited a bunch of toys. So he may be back. But maybe maybe next go around I can pick up the one with Leia and Shizor.
Please come back. Please.
Yes. Please, sir.
Please. We want some more.
So it sounded like he was interested in coming back. He was just trying to, and they, it was like, I may put a shop in there, but then I got to deal with legal stuff.
Overhead.
Overhead and taxes. And I don't think he wants to deal with that.
Was that it?
Yes.
Because that's not all I picked up.
Yeah. Well, I also went to the cigar shop Friday night because
they had figures there.
No, I didn't have figures. I picked up basically that thing that I invited you to like a month ago. That was a bust in Canton. They had the same one in Woodstock, and it was a last minute thing. And I'm like, let me go check it out. And I got a light. This is awesome. Audio, but it's a lighter that looks like a spray bottle. So check that out.
My brother would have loved that.
Did you see it?
Yeah. Looks like it's peeing. My brother would have loved that.
So I got that and a cutter and a bunch of cigars. And yeah, so that was my other major purchase this weekend.
We, on the way back from looking at the car, we stopped at a Target. They had a bunch of TVC stuff on clearance, but they also had 2 retro Ahsoka figures.
Uh-huh.
They had Ahsoka Tano, and I didn't have Ahsoka, so I checked it at the scanner, and it was $3.
Nice.
I was like, I'm taking that one. So I'm just missing a couple, which I can order off of Hasbro Pulse. I don't have any of the Book of Boba Fett retro waves. I got to order that as well. That hasn't shown up at retail at all. And I'm just afraid once it's gone from Hasbro Pulse, it's gone.
Oh, you're talking like the Cad Bane and stuff.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that it shows up to Ollie's, but who knows? It's just a risk.
Right.
Do you wait it out or do you not? What if they don't show up at Ollie's? Then right before we did the swag packing, the N1 Starfighter from Target, the Micro Galaxy version, came in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that. And while I was sitting there waiting for everyone to show up, the Gungan, was it the Bongo?
You call it the Bongo. I'll go whatever. I'll go with whatever. The Gungan ship.
The Gungan ship that looks like a giant squid, where they get attacked by 4 different monsters in the planet's core.
There's always a bigger fish. And there's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, I used to know what Jar Jar says. Relax, we're not in trouble yet. What yet? It's wheezing out here. What's the use of thinking we are in trouble? That whole scene, I ordered it online for pickup, and then it's available for pickup, so I have to go pick it up at Target. I just did a store order, so they would pick it up and bring it to the front. So I got to pick that up, but that's everything I got. Okay, bye.
So you haven't picked that up? You haven't gotten it yet? I'm curious how big of a sticker they'll put on it, because I know Target's really bad about putting inventory.
Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. We'll see.
Oh, I pre-ordered the Rebels wave, the Kanan and the Ezra and the Zeb.
Hammerhead. Yeah.
I didn't get the Hammerhead. I actually, because I wasn't going to order them, and then I saw that on Hasbro Pulse, Ezra and Kanan had sold out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I guess I can't wait around for these. And then I found them on Amazon and ordered Ezra and Kanan on Amazon, and then ordered Zeb through Hasbro. And then a day later, they're back on Ezra and Zeb. Kanan are back up on Hasbro Pulse.
Yeah, they're doing something funny there because they did that with the E-Wing. The E-Wing was like, you pre-sale until March, 15th. It's an arbitrary date, but
Right.
it's not like it's not a HasLab where they're gonna cut off, only 5,000 people ordered the E-Wing, so that's all we're gonna make. It's like they're gonna make them and then it's gonna become available again. I don't understand what the whole pre-sale window does other than to make people feel like, oh, I gotta race out and order it.
Right. And I was kind of going to play the waiting game with, like I said, with Ezra and Kanan, because I figured Zeb is a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, right?
Yeah.
So I can't play the waiting game on him.
And Shop Disney, I would imagine.
Oh,
But you get it faster at Hasbro Pulse than you do Shop Disney.
okay. I got to order my wife a sweatshirt off Shop Disney. There's the new artist one that came out that's got the Ewok on the speeder bike.
Yeah.
And it's like an Ewok on a speeder bike, and then it's got him playing drums on one of the sleeve, and then it's got him on an ATST on the back. I'm like, that's a badass sweatshirt because it's got so much stuff going on. So I got to order that, and maybe something for me if I can want to justify spending $30 on a freaking cup with the retro Boba Fett on it.
I mean, I did get something for the exhibition, but the exhibition for Rogue Fun is done, so there's nothing more to get there. And then last week we talked about the make it bake it, the little plastic crystals that you melt into a sun catcher.
Uh-huh.
We were talking about that, and Barry reached out and he said, "Yeah, go ahead and make it, man," because he gave it to me, and he was on his way back from Toylanta talking to his buddy Jason, and they were wondering if after 40 years, would the plastic melt? Would it act the way that it was supposed to? And I'm happy to say yes. It was like a retro blast. It really did feel like I was a kid again because I used to make those. And surprisingly, it was the suction cup that was breaking down. It was all slimy and sticky.
Why would you say? I could see that to be the one piece that would break down.
It is breaking down. So I need to go to like Joann's and get another suction cup and stick it to the window. But I just wanted to follow up on that point.
Cool. Did you order the Jabba the Hutt popcorn bucket yet?
No, because it's a park exclusive, right?
You can find them on Macari, yes, but you can they're on Macari for like $50. And it's like a $30, $35 popcorn bucket.
Yeah, no. I'd rather not have it than pay scalping prices. Sorry.
Hey, dude. It's your call, man.
What I want to do is go to Disney and get it.
Right.
I don't want to, if I'm going to spend $15, I'm going to be spending $15 on gas down to Disney.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy.
So do you want to talk about the Disney news, or do you want to talk about the show?
I have news. What show?
The Powder Springs show.
Oh.
Let's talk news. What do you want to talk about? Let's
talk news.
All right.
I forgot to mention this. I was listening to The Force, of course, this morning, and they were talking about this. Harrison was in the car with me, my son. We were driving somewhere, and he told me all about this, and it sounded so crazy and so impossible that it couldn't be true, but it was true. So they relaunched Battlefront, the original from the early mid-2000s.
Right.
And back then, multiplayer is not as popular as it was now. So it was not the focus of the game. It was the single player. I used to play Capture the Flag all the time. I used to love that. But they launched it with only 3 servers for multiplayer, which meant that you can only have 3 games of multiplayer playing at a time at the same time, because it's one game per server. 64 players. That means in the world, only 192 people can play multiplayer Battlefront at the launch of this game.
Yes.
Which is how, why, what were you doing?
Right.
It's Star Wars. It's one of the more popular franchises in the world. And you only have 3 servers for multiplayer. Like, And this is a beloved game. People compare the new Battlefront to the old one, wishing that they had the old one, so they brought the old one back forward again to play. And it's like, how did you drop that ball?
Right. Well, yeah, I thought they were meaning it was 200 per game, not 200 in the world.
No.
Wow.
No, only 192 people in the world can play Battlefront. And they might have updated that and added servers. I don't know if it was a last minute, like, oh crap, we didn't think this through. Just throw 3 servers up so they could do something.
Right. And they were saying that they felt the game felt kind of rushed, that, if they would have taken till like May the 4th and just said, hey, we released it, because nobody was expecting that game to come out.
Yeah.
Nobody was waiting on it. It was a surprise. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, here it is. And it's a cluster because we weren't prepared.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
That happened.
Bad planning. Great job on the Star Wars front again, people.
Writer Bo Willimon is now set to co-write a James Mangold Star Wars movie. He was the showrunner of House of Cards, and he also contributed a couple scripts to Andor season 1. I don't know if he's on season 2, but I think having someone from Andor write a movie is exactly where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
But I mean, House of Cards was great, other than Kevin Spacey and all of his troubles. That was a good show. I get frustrated with those, and that might also be an interesting. That's my neighbor. I hear her. Sorry. You might want to cut that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So House of Cards is about a bad guy, and so what if this movie is about a bad guy? I don't know. That might be an interesting angle. That's where his strengths lie.
Right. I think, yeah, dude, I am so tired of the good guys in Star Wars. Let's have some bad. I'm on the record for that. Yes, since House of Cards was very enjoyable until the last season. But yes.
Someone made an appearance in Disneyland this week. Who was that?
I'm annoyed. I don't know why it annoys me, but it's like I couldn't get to Disney World.
No. Disneyland gets all the good stuff. I know that's where the executives are, and that's where it's like when you go to a corporate office of something like where I work, the corporate office is Home Depot is kind of across the street, and then there's a Home Depot there. So it's like that's the flashy Home Depot. That's where they test things out. That's where they put all the good stuff.
Right.
And that's but if you go like a mile down the street, it's just like another regular average Home Depot. And that's kind of how it feels like with Disneyland and Disney World. All the executives are in California, so Disneyland gets all the cool flashy stuff.
Right.
And Disney World is an afterthought.
Yeah. Well, freaking Sabine showed up in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Chance, because I went after the show. I went and talked to Chance about it, and he's like, why do you like Rebels so much? I'm like, dude, explain to me why I'm tearing up because some teenage girl is dressed up like a character at a theme park. I can't explain it, dude. And then it was funny because then he starts explaining to me how he loves the interconnectivity of Star Wars, and he's tearing up. And you're just like, that's what's great about talking Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because when when you connect with somebody and they start, telling you their reasonings behind stuff, and you just see the emotion on their face. So that was kind of cool. But anyway, yeah, Disneyland's getting all the cool crap. They've got a new what are they, fireworks show in Galaxy's Edge.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the droids.
Mm-hmm.
They got Sabine and Ahsoka was there. And then Chopper shows up. I'm like, but they're doing right now, I think, Season of the Force.
Yes.
For a month.
Yes.
Is what it's called. And
should bring back Star Wars Weekends, but yes.
Right. They should bring back Star Wars Weekends, but anyway.
So this one's interesting.
Yes.
We got to unpack it in a couple of ways. Tales of the Empire is on its way. It's 6 new shorts that seem to revolve around Morgan Elsbeth from Ahsoka and Barriss Offee, who we last saw in the Clone Wars, and who some people think is the 7th sister from, was it Rebels?
It was either Rebels or Ahsoka, but yes, there was. But she was. It looked like they were very leaning pretty hard on that in those shorts.
Yeah, so we'll see. It's interesting that this news just dropped. We had on our bingo card that a new Disney Plus show would be announced. At the time, we were thinking it would be like a live action Ewoks or like a live action something or other.
Right.
Insert another live action show here. But yeah, it's there's a new show on its way, and I think we can cross off something from our bingo card.
We need like a sounder or something like bingo, bingo, bingo.
Bingo! There's your soundbite. So,
Yes, I think we can scratch that one off. I hold on a minute. I was working out when I was on the elliptical when I watched that, and I heard Thrawn before I saw him, and I was just like, Thrawn's in this.
you got excited. People can't see your face on an audio podcast.
Oh, sorry. It was like I got
Your
excited
jaw
because it's like,
dropped.
you're right. My jaw was, I was like, oh man, Thrawn's in this. No, I'm excited. I want to see how him and Elsbeth, get connected.
Yeah.
And then the other girl, I'm kind of like, with, but then when you see the Grand Inquisitor, you're like, so there's two characters from Rebels in this show. So that really excited me. And it's good. I think it's going to keep me tied into this.
I have to watch the trailer again. I've only watched it the one time because I've been really busy this week getting ready for Rogue Fun. But it seemed to me that Morgan was talking about how much she hated the Empire. And then she was like, so I'm going to join it.
Yeah.
Which didn't make sense. Why would you join something you hate other than maybe you're kind of destroying it from within, which means that's been Thrawn's, if my reasoning here is true, Thrawn has been inside the Empire to destroy the Empire as well.
Maybe because he was kind of had like joint alliances because he was part of the Chist ascendancy,
Yeah.
and then he comes on the Empire. So yeah, that's an interesting. You didn't see my face on the podcast, that audio podcast, but I had the oh shoot face again.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting because Thrawn, I think he was using the Empire as a tool as a means to an end, not as I'm gonna join but I want to join because it's the Empire.
It's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, so he's friends with the Empire.
Right. And then he ends up ascending the ranks.
Yeah.
But the Thrawn ascendancy was so thick and so heavy, I couldn't even get through it.
There's that word again, heavy. Is there something wrong with Earth's gravitational pulls? Last week we talked about the Jazzwares Vault. It seemed that those who ordered from their site received items this week in less than mint condition. Jazzwares doesn't have the stock to issue replacements, despite a policy page that says that all the items from the vault are factory fresh and they ensure best condition when they reach you. So several collectors are frustrated by that. So if you order something from Vault, just keep that in mind that it might not be in the best condition if you're a in-box collector. Like
you might have to open them.
Might have to open it. And then the latest episode last week, because we're recording this Monday night. There's a new episode of the Disney Dish with Jim Hill and Len Testida. And they were talking beneath the surface stuff all over the place, like hinting that they know stuff, but they can't talk about it.
Oh, they always do that though.
Yeah, but last week it was at a critical, what's the term? Critical mass.
Right.
Because it was just everything was a reference here and there. They were talking about how, Tiana's adventure or Splash Mountain is becoming Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And then they make this joke like, yeah, and nothing else in Frontierland's changing.
Oh, that was today's episode.
Last week they said that. Today they said that they're changing it to a DVC club.
The shooting range.
The shooting range is going to become a DVC club because it's just time to retire that, I guess. Let
me. When I was there in June, you don't pay for it, which I think it's kind of sad that they're getting rid of something so iconic. I can understand why they want to get rid of it because of the times, but it's kind of also sad because you remember there being shooting ranges when you go to parks like that, and it's
Yeah,
just and now they're it's not going to be there anymore.
right. Well, I bring all that up. The other thing they kind of hinted at was that Joe Rohde's back. Joe Rohde was the Imagineer who basically, it was his vision, his passion project, Animal Kingdom. And so now that they're redoing Dinoland USA, they've possibly brought Joe back to incorporate more animals, to find the balance between adding Encanto and Coco and Indiana Jones in South America, but then also bringing in the animals so that there's a blend of that IP, but also the original spirit of the land. And so I think that's what they're hinting at. But then right at the end of the show last week, after the credits rolled, but before the show ended, Len just said, "The Star Cruiser isn't dead."
I missed that.
Yeah. And it was like, it was one of those things where I was like combing my hair. I was like listening to it.
Uh-huh.
And like normally I would stop it or try to find another podcast to listen to.
Yeah.
So it played until the end. And after they rolled the credits, Len came on and said, "The Star Cruiser isn't dead." And so it's just like after hinting at all these things, he just came out and said that. So it's like they know something is going on. The Star Cruiser is not dead. There's going to be an experience that's going to happen. It's going to be announced soon, which will be great because that's another square on the bingo board.
Yes. Well, no, I was telling my wife that I turned 50 next year and it will be on a Disney property. I don't know what Disney property, but it will be on a Disney property somewhere. So maybe
Hence,
I'll turn 50 in space.
I'm turning 50, hence the TVC confused me.
So that's awesome. Wow. And they're normally pretty good about stuff. And I'm surprised he said something like that.
Yeah, I don't know why he said that, but he did. There was a clickbait article going around last week, and I think everybody pretty much knows now that it's clickbait, saying that Disney was selling off pieces of the Star Cruiser. So everybody was
Oh,
clicking on it and was like, where can I get a bed? Where can I get a sleeping bag? Where can I get whatever? It was just that they were selling some overstock of the Halcyon. Some of those cups were being now sold in Olga's Cantina, and the drinks that came along with it were being sold in Olga's. When I was down there, the Jedi robes were being sold, like the exclusive ones that you could get on the Halcyon were being sold at Galaxy's Edge. Now they're just doing some of the cups and the drinks, and they're maybe going through stock, and whatever the next iteration of the Star Cruiser is, they don't need that anymore. It's going to be something else.
right. It'd be interesting to see that stuff if it's going to show up in like Cast Connections or the outlet or something.
It needs to be, and I hate to say this, I wish I had gone, but it needs to be like a overnight stay, and there's some sort of dinner show aspect to it. So it's like a 3-hour experience as opposed to a 2-day experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it needs to, yeah, you're right. And it needs to be something to where, like, okay, after dinner, it shuts down. Like it has a shutdown at midnight or shutdown at 11 p.m. or something. And it's like, no more programming after this.
Yeah.
So go to bed,
Yeah.
in that way, because I think that was one of their issues is those characters had to be on all the time.
Right.
So they were basically, you had 3 people, you had 2 people on site and 1 person on call for every role for 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big cost for those people. And I'm sure those people were making $50 to $100 an hour.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm upset that I didn't get to go do the Star Cruiser. I think it would, if it would have been around for another year, or give it 2 years, I could have talked to my wife into letting me go. But even at $5,000, I could have talked her into it, but it was still $5,000 for a 2-day experience was a lot of money. But I think if they're going to do, like you were saying, like a dinner show, they need to open it up like at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. You have your dinner show and then you're out by like 10 or 11. That way you can have a good 24 hours or, 20 hours on the thing. And then maybe when you leave at 11, you can have priority to Batu or something.
Right. This is not news, but it's something that I learned this week. So I got 2 things left. I always wondered, and this is the last time I'll bring up Shadows of the Empire in a while, I promise, but I always wondered why in the book Dash Rendar dies, or at least seemingly dies, but in the game, there's like a special credit scene where you see Rendar blasting off and he survives the battle.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought maybe, the author was being artistic and giving it an ambiguous ending, but if you want to know the real ending, you have to play the game. Well, it just turns out that the programmers of the game, the designers, never felt like the people would want to play a character for 17, 18 different levels and then just die at the end. Like it's all for nothing. You want to have some sort of like feeling of success at the end.
Uh-huh.
And that's the reason why Dash Rendar lives, is just because of the game mechanics and what people want in a game. It's not anything to do with art or anything. It's just like we just want to please people.
Right. Now I did just going back to game because shoot, the one where it was Darth Vader's apprentice, and they did
Yes.
2 of them.
Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed. So so they made books about those too. And I was talking to somebody, and he was like, "That dude, why could he bring down a Star Destroyer?" I'm like, "It's in a video game." He's like, "That's a video game?" I said, "Yes, it's in the video game."
Yeah, it's weird.
He's like, "Darth Vader couldn't bring down a Star Destroyer." I said, yeah, but it's part of a video game. And he's like, "Oh." And this is also the same guy that was mad that Chewie was back in the prequels because Chewie died in the books.
I forgot to mention, because it's not something I picked up, but it was something that was gifted to me, and I was very appreciative of it. Lewis came over yesterday, and he brought a book and a cassette tape, but in it was packed a micro machine, so it was like you can listen to the story of the snow speeder, and then you can also play with your micro machine snow speeder.
Right.
And so I don't have any of those, so I was very appreciative of that, and I felt very blessed, I guess, to get that. So.
Well, I've got 2 stories real quick. Or you said you were done with news?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were talking about your N1 Starfighter from Micro Galaxy Squadron. So your table is kind of set up on a ledge. Not a ledge, but the other side of the table drops off.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all the swag, and I just see it like slowly start creeping to the edge of the table.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, oh, I gotta fix that before it falls because it's got a story drop. It's got a good 6-foot drop, and it would break, and Jason would not be happy.
I would get another one, and then I would just have to open that one.
Right, but I was like, I would have hated to been like, "Hey, Jason, your N1 Starfighter fell because
you bent my Wookiee."
Yeah. So I was just like, "Oh my God, no, don't let it fall." And
was it all in slow motion in your head?
Yeah, because we had just had all the swag piled up on because you were like, "Dude, you're like a bull in a china shop," and I'm like, "You ever see the TikToks of like people cooking Indian food, like the street food in India, and it's just very unhygienic, and there's just flies, and they're using their hands, and it's just a mess." I felt like that yesterday, putting those flag packs together, because you're just doing stuff, and then it's, I've got this more stuff that needs to go in here, and there's more stuff, and you're just like, oh my goodness. So you're putting like 20 things in a bag, and it's just grabbing, you kind of had we had a little bit of a thing going to where like Lewis was putting 2 or 3 things in there, and then I was putting 2 or 3 things in there, and then Tony was putting the rest in, and it just, you're grabbing like, it felt like just organized chaos.
If you have the medicine for overdose on swag, bring it, because you're going to definitely need a vial.
And then we brought everything to the ladies. They were standing outside, and they were like, what can we do? I'm like, do this. And they had it done in like half the time we thought we would. And I told Mandy, she's like, because we know what we're doing. Just like,
we're trying to figure out what to do.
Right.
Ladies.
They were like, yeah. And then, she was like, why didn't you didn't get a picture of us? I said, I couldn't have posted it because it's a secret. And she's like, oh,
yeah.
So anyway, also I figured out what the HasLab's going to be.
Okay.
It's going to be the Marauder.
No, it's not. Oh, now that it's destroyed. Yes.
Yes.
I'm on board. It has to be. It has to be. Wait, did the ghost get destroyed?
No, the ghost didn't get destroyed.
Not yet.
Not yet. But
It'll
as
get
soon as I saw the Marauder be destroyed, I'm like, that's the HasLab.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you what you thought of the Bad Batch on the Bayou.
I
Did it remind you of home? Did you want to go get a
Oh
king
yeah,
cake?
it totally did. I was expecting to see Tatiana floating around with some
I'm
beignets.
almost there.
It did. It was like, oh, hold on, man, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him.
I can't. That's
Dude.
that's the only Cajun I can do. I can't. What you been down there for there?
Born on a bayou. You can do it.
That was a good
Ricky Bobby
episode.
shows up. Not Ricky Bobby, Waterboy.
Oh, yeah. Bobby Boucher.
Bobby Boucher. Bobby
That was a
Boucher.
good episode. Bad Batch on the Bayou.
Yeah.
Asajj Ventress was an interesting one.
Yeah.
And it was kind of I was curious because she's a dark side user who now seems to be towards the middle. She's probably closer to the light than she was ever.
Uh-huh.
And so she's teaching her how to use the Force. She's teaching Omega how to use the Force and how to summon all those fish. And it's like this giant monster fish appears. And it's like, is that because she's part of the dark side and she can't control the balance? So she accidentally brings this monster up to the surface?
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
And then there's two others.
and the Marauder gets destroyed. That's the big thing to take away from it. And
yeah,
the Empire
it's been
has
brutal.
Yeah, the Empire has Omega, which that was kind of heartbreaking because she was counting on Crosshair to tag the ship, and he missed it because he got attacked by a bunch of other clones or stormtroopers or whatever.
I'm sure there's an obvious thing that we're missing, that Crosshair has data stuck in his head somewhere that they could just extract and find the data.
Yeah, I thought one of the cooler parts in that episode was when you hear the person on the other side of the door and you hear the spurs.
Yes.
And it was one of two people.
Yes. Well, it's only one person in my mind. It was Cad Bane.
Well, or Boba Fett. It would have been a young Boba Fett.
It would have been a young Boba Fett, but I guess I associate the spurs more with Cad Bane. I'm Pavlov's dog. When I hear spurs, I think Cad Bane.
Right.
My mouth starts watering, and I just want to eat chips and watch Cad Bane.
Yeah. So I mean, I am digging because they're doing the fan service, but they're doing it right. I think this season. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Asajj, but I think she's coming back. I think the way that it made it sound was they were going to go after. Well, no, they found Omega, so they're not going to go after what's her face, the Finnick. I thought they had made it sound like they were going to go after Finnick to get the information, and then they ended up finding it without it or something. It's been a week, man. I only watched Bad Batch once.
Right.
So
right. Disney, dear Disney, don't end a show running up to the event that we're putting on. Thanks.
And then the Shadows of the Empire, or whatever, not Shadows of the Tales of the Empire, is gonna be on May 4th. It's like, dude, I'm not gonna be able to watch that. I got stuff to do.
I got stuff to do. I can't watch that unless we get up at 5 a.m.
No, dude, really, that's gonna be probably by the time we're going to bed.
No, I can't do that. I need my sleep. I need my beauty sleep. It's not easy to look this beautiful, and sleep is part of that regimen.
Right. And no sleep that weekend.
So your thoughts on the show?
This was actually normally this is not a good show because it's spring break week, and in the couple of years past it's been a very lackluster show, but I think this last weekend's was one of the better ones. Especially as far as Star Wars goes, or maybe it's just because I found stuff I had been searching for, and at good prices. And like I keep saying, it only takes one item to make your show, and I found like 3 of them that made my show. The TVC figures were it was too cheap. It was one of those I knew if I didn't buy them, I would regret not buying them.
Right.
It was more just I wanted them just because the price, I couldn't pass them up because the price was too cheap. And I had a reason to have them because I had the Razor Crest. And yeah, no, I thought it was a one of the better, like I said, one of the better shows. It had a lot more Star Wars stuff. I thought the pricing was pretty legit. And there again, I'm in the same boat every time I go to that show. I'm lucky to get one pass at it because I have so many people. There was a lot of people that were like, Glenn, how you doing? And I'm like, dude, what's up?
Yeah.
Because I'm really bad at names. But I mean,
hey there, guy.
yeah, fella, what's going on, my
Good
man?
to see your face again, my dude. Yeah, they had 70 vendors this time, which is about 10 to 20 more than normal. I thought everybody was spread out. There was a couple weird t-shirt vendors.
But that's fine, I think, to have as long as you have like 2 or 3 of them, then people are going to come for those vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind having the oddball vendors because you're going to find something cool. You could find something cool there.
You could. I didn't. But yeah, it was a good time. Good time by all. And then, do you have anything more to say about that?
I think we should talk a little more, but I don't know. I mean, what did you see? Did you see anything that was cool? Did you take anything away from it?
No, if I saw it, I wanted it, I bought it. I mean, there's so much you could buy. Prices seem to be fair. I don't remember seeing any carded items that I wanted. I was on the search for Cantina aliens and I didn't find any of those.
Yeah, the
Um,
only carded
uh,
stuff I found was the TVC stuff.
well, I did see no, I did see Ponda Baba for $10, but I didn't need that one. And Matt had 3 different Cantina Band single carded TVC characters for $10 each. But I want to get the full band, so I'm hoping that Hasbro will do another run of the full band. I have that in the white box, all 7 characters, but I didn't open it, so.
So, because I did see that the TVC, Steve had a TVC figure in Dan, but I know, is it just, what am I trying to say? That's not enough to complete the set. You can't get 6 of those and be happy with that.
No, I think you get 3 or 4 of those with the instrument combinations,
Uh-huh.
but you can't get the full band because there's a couple guys that sit down. There's a guy with like a giant pipe that sits in his arm. There's a Who's What's It that the guy is witchamagwaning with, and then there's the Hosmaduties. I don't know what they're called.
We're gonna get a text tomorrow.
It's all good. But
No,
yeah.
I don't think there was a ton of vintage like I've seen in the past, but there's not really ever a real big ton of vintage, but there was a good mix of stuff. There was a couple of Funko Pop dealers, which I don't know if they do good or bad there. A few different Legos. It's nice to see the mix of 70s and 80s toys that are there. And it definitely does not feel like Target has thrown up. I haven't seen that in a minute. It hasn't felt like that in a while. There was one guy that had a couple of Micro Galaxy stuff, but you said he had a red TIE fighter, but by the time I got to him, it was gone.
Oh, really?
Or I couldn't find it. He had 2, because he had 2 of them that were on top of each other, and the red one I couldn't find it, and I knew I wasn't going to buy it for the $40, so I didn't ask for
the red
him.
one was there, but I did hear him say that he bought it for $30, so I don't really want to pay for scalping.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I can understand the conundrum and how you feel about it.
Yeah.
I didn't look through the flea market that much. I never really do. Mandy's normally the one that looks through that to get the deals, but I've heard there's like 19 toy vendors in that flea market now.
Oh, people are starting to go in there now because of this toy show thing. I need to check that out. I didn't go in there because we were taking off for the car, and they typically only have like 2 or 3 toy vendors in there.
Right. And the only thing that they need to do, in my opinion, is if it's going to keep growing, they need to get some porta potties. because there's like one bathroom and it's always like 10 deep to go.
Yeah.
So I think he needs to get like 4 or 5 porta potties, figure out how much that costs. And
Or install other toilets into the shop, but that's going to cost lots of money because plumbing is cheap.
yeah, I think there's a employee bathroom, so it'd be nice if they would open that one up.
They're
Or
not
like
going to open up for the schlubs.
no, they're like, you guys can just wait. You'll be fine. But you get some when you're waiting in the line for the bathroom. There's some good talking that goes on. I talked to Fernando for a while we were waiting.
We became best friends in line.
Right. He wanted to know if we could make bunk beds. Anything else? I mean, what else did we
I had one other thing to talk about before we wrapped up.
do it?
So you're good with
I
the
think
show
we're
then?
good. Yeah, I think we glossed over it real quick. We didn't go into a whole lot of detail, but I think we're good.
I was watching Shawshank Redemption this past week.
Uh-huh.
Wait, have you seen that?
No. As Jason puts his head in his hands.
I can't even. Anyways,
Can you
I was
odd?
watching. What?
Can you odd?
Yes, I can. Today I just can't even though. I was watching it and I was like, this movie should have won Best Picture. It is such a phenomenal movie about the human condition. It's a nice piece of art. And I was like, what movie won that year? And it was Forrest Gump, which Forrest Gump is a good movie, but it's like a cartoon almost of a person. It's not really real. And Shawshank, even though it's not real, it's like more grounded. It's anyways. I was like, how did that win? Over Shawshank. I don't know if I could give a good argument as to why Forrest Gump is a better movie than Shawshank. Anyways, I went back and I started thinking to myself about the 1978 Oscars when Annie Hall beat Star Wars. They both were nominated for Best Picture.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, how did Annie Hall win? Because Star Wars has a greater cultural impact. Every single movie that's ever been made ever since has been inspired by Star Wars. Back when I was trying to get into film school 20 years ago, the instructions for writing your essay was to not start your essay with, when I first saw Star Wars, I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker. Like, Star Wars is a seminal, phenomenal movie. It should not have lost Best Picture to Annie Hall. Annie Hall, I mean, nobody talks about Annie Hall. It's never played on TV. You never see people talking about, oh, I can't wait to see Annie Hall again. It's Star Wars. And so
Right.
I have the list of all the movies that won their year against the Star Wars movie, and I'm just going to ask away, which should have won the Oscar, and we'll just end the show that way.
Okay.
So Annie Hall versus Star Wars, which one should have won the Oscar?
Star Wars.
Star Wars doesn't have to be the answer to all of these, by the way. I'll just say that up front, that caveat.
Okay.
The 53rd annual Academy Awards in 1981, Ordinary People won Best Picture. Yeah, I've never seen Ordinary.
I've never
People.
seen it. No.
But it won. Empire Strikes Back wasn't nominated. But if it was, which would be the better picture?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. The 56th Academy Awards, Tears of Endearment won the Best Picture in 1984.
No, never seen it.
That's the Jack Nicholson one.
No.
Return of the Jedi wasn't nominated. But what was really the best picture there?
Right.
Okay. The 72nd annual Academy Awards in 2000, American Beauty won.
I enjoyed American Beauty versus Phantom
Menace.
yeah, I would have given it to probably American Beauty at the time because American Beauty was kind of just artsy enough and just demonic and dark enough.
Okay.
Have you seen American
fair.
Beauty?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, yes.
And
probably because it's the funniest part one of the funniest things I've ever seen is when he's trying to get a job at Burger King or the fast food joint. He's like, you're overqualified, sir. And he's like, I have fast food experience. When he was like 20 in high school.
I remember that. It's been a while, but I remember that. In the 75th Academy Awards in 2003, Chicago was the best picture. Chicago for Attack of the Clones.
Mm. And Chicago was the remake of the
The
was
Broadway
it
play.
Broadway? Yeah, I would have given it, even with Attack of the Clones, I probably would have given it to Attack of the Clones.
Okay. The 78th Academy Awards, there's a bit of controversy because a lot of people say this movie is the worst movie to ever win Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
Over Brokeback Mountain, which was Crash. Did you ever see Crash?
Is that the one where they have sex in cars? Is that Crash?
I
No.
don't remember that. No.
Okay, so that's not it.
No, it was with like Brendan Fraser, Sandra Bullock. It was a bunch of people. It was like there was angels throughout the movie. It's been a long time since I've seen Crash. It was probably 2006 when I saw Crash.
Okay.
But there's no way this movie, and a lot of people have said that it's looking back on it was the wrong choice. Brokeback Mountain should have been the best picture, which just goes to show all of this stuff is just of the moment. Annie Hall probably shouldn't have won best picture. It probably should have been Star Wars.
Right. And it's all
Crash,
like, go ahead.
yeah, what?
No. I agree. I mean, I know I get some flack for watching Brokeback Mountain, but I actually enjoyed that movie. It was a good movie.
It's a good movie. It's a phenomenal love story.
Right.
It's a heartbreaking love story.
Right.
And it was a better movie than Crash. And I think at the end of the day, it's also a better movie than Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
Or a worse movie. I said that wrong. It's a worse movie than Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is a better movie.
Okay.
The 88th Academy Awards, Spotlight, which was the movie about the Boston Globe and the research and the investigation into the Catholic Church and how they moved priests around. It's with Michael Keaton and what's her face from The Notebook and Doctor Strange. People are yelling. Anyways, Spotlight won. Spotlight won. The Force Awakens was out or could have been nominated.
Yeah, I probably would go with the other one too.
I go Spotlight.
Right.
The 89th Academy Awards. This was the controversy because someone handed whoever was opening Best Picture, I can't remember who, a Best Actress envelope, and when they opened it up, they were confused and they just saw the movie La La Land and they said La La Land on live TV, and everybody from La La Land came up, and then they stopped the script because the wrong envelope was handed out, so they came out with the right envelope, and Moonlight won. Ryan Gosling was sitting in the background. This is when I fell in love with Ryan Gosling because he was just laughing hysterically because it's like, this is so great that we're up here and we didn't win, and Moonlight comes up, and Moonlight over Rogue One. I've never seen Moonlight.
Yeah, I haven't either.
But Rogue One is one of my favorites, so I have to go with Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One is my favorite Disney era. Probably one of my favorite Star Wars movies, just because it's not Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. It's not a Skywalker thing.
Right, exactly.
I've got 3 left. Bear with me. The 90th Academy Awards in 2017, The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro's, was it a sequel to The Creature of the Black Lagoon?
I don't know, but I don't know.
I think it's like a spiritual sequel.
Yeah, okay.
Or The Last Jedi.
I never saw The Water, but
The Shape of Water. It's
Shape
a
of
really good
Water.
movie.
Yeah.
If you like Guillermo del Toro, this is a really good movie.
I would probably say, I mean, I enjoyed The Last Jedi, but The Last Jedi even nominated that year?
No, the only Star Wars movie ever nominated for Best Picture was Star Wars.
Was Star Wars.
This is just an exercise of fun.
Okay. Well then, yeah, I would probably go Shape of Water because I know it would pull at heartstrings again, but whatever.
I've never seen Green Book. The 91st Academy Awards in 2018, Green Book won Best Picture. Solo was the movie that would have been nominated if it was nominated.
I enjoyed Solo too.
I did too.
Yeah, let's go Solo because I have no clue what Green Book was.
And then the last Star Wars movie to come out so far is the 92nd Academy Awards in 2019. Parasite, which I've never seen, won Best Picture. It's a South Korean movie. Something or other, people living in basements.
Sorry, South Korea movies get kind of crazy.
Yeah, this is a pretty acclaimed director.
Uh-huh.
people swear by Parasite. There's like, you should really see it because I guess it's that good. Over The Rise of Skywalker. I can't say it.
But
I
Rise of
have
Sky. Yeah.
I have to say Parasite. And I've seen Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. See, and then just a second ago, I got the Rise of Skywalker and Last Jedi. Was it The Last Jedi, the middle one? I don't know. I get those confused all the time.
Yeah, that's the middle one.
Yeah.
And so the best Star Wars picture ever, the award goes to drum roll.
Out of all 11 of them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so best ever.
Drum roll.
I'd have to go, if I'm going to go best ever, it'd be Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. Interesting.
Just because that's what I grew up with. That's what I remember waiting in the theaters, waiting in line to see.
Oh, I'm sorry. They gave you the wrong envelope. Here, open this one. It says Empire Strikes Back. The one that apparently they kicked George Lucas off because he was telling Irvin Kershner what to do. And Irvin was like, I'm the one that's directing this movie, not you. I've never heard that story until this past weekend. Anyways, that's it. That's our show this week. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye. Oh, hey, Jason, you know what they need to do?
What?
Never mind.
Oh, hold on. It's a Monday.
Take two.
Yes.
Two. Hey, Jason, you know what they need to do?
They need to thank you for listening to the Smugglers Galaxy Podcast. If they could, please leave a like and a 5-star review of the show anywhere you listen to podcasts. It really helps us out and points people to our show. You can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Send us an email or message us. We love feedback, and we'd love to make you part of the show. Our email address is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smugglers Galaxy logo. And thank you to Levi Waterhouse for the music. People collect for the love of it. Hashtag vote with your wallet. Sabine will be on next week. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community. This is the way.
This is the way.